Hi, this is Shawn Parker with Fill in the Blank. We have a guest today, Judge Stephanie Mingo from the Franklin County Municipal Court Environmental Division. Judge Mingo just won a very, very important election a few days ago. It was an election that was basically done in a very different style. It was not run necessarily on the old way of doing things. It was run on a relationship that she built along with Judge Russo and with the community. And it's something that, frankly, we don't think has ever been done before, called Beyond the Bench. So, Judge Mingo, welcome to our Fill in the Blank podcast.
And Shawn, thank you for having me on.
We are excited. It's all happiness and roses today.
It is. It absolutely is.
we love it. Tell us a little bit. What we like to do is let the folks get to know you a little bit. So tell us how you got here, where you came from, and a little bit about who you are, and then we'll talk about your court and what is happening and what your goals are, most importantly, for the future.
All right. Thank you, Shawn.
Yeah.
So I am originally a Cantonian. I'm from 2 hours northeast of here. And I came to Columbus for undergrad and law school. Went to undergrad at the Ohio State University.
Yes,
and graduated. OH, right? IO. Graduated from Ohio State with a Bachelor's of Arts in Political Science, and then quickly went off to law school at Capital University. So, Shawn, I have been in Franklin County for the last 25 years of my life. Mm-hmm. And just prior to taking the bench here, Shawn, I had done several things. I had started my legal career as a guardian ad litem working in Franklin County's Juvenile Domestic Relations Court. Mm-hmm. Then I went on to do a variety of things. I'd worked for the state of Ohio at one point, working for the Ohio Auditor of State. But more immediately prior to taking the bench, I was a Franklin County prosecutor in the Environmental Division. So it was just sort of a natural fit. When that vacancy in that particular division became open, I decided to screen for it, and lo and behold, I was appointed to that bench by then Governor John Kasich in December of 2018, took the bench in January 2019, and have been Franklin County's environmental court judge now for almost the last 3 years.
Great.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the environmental court, if you could. It's a unique. The specialty dockets, I believe, are one of the most important things in the future of the judiciary and the way that we work with the community. What's your impression of the specialty dockets, and then also the environmental court?
Yeah, thanks. That's a really great question, Shawn. So the environmental division, it is a special courtroom. It is, as I understand it, there is no other courtroom like it, no other division like it in the state of Ohio. And I am told it is unique throughout the country, the type of jurisdiction that court has. So just briefly, the environmental court is made up of 15 judges. There are 14 in the general division, and I alone am the sole environmental division judge for Franklin County. In that courtroom, I hear all of the cases involving properties that are a public nuisance. These are properties that are typically not in compliance with housing, building, zoning, health, safety, or fire codes. It could also be a property that is involved in illegal activity. Perhaps it's a drug house. It may be a property that is involved in human trafficking. But if it's a property, whether it's commercial or residential, and it is considered to be a public nuisance, if a city determines to file a complaint, that case comes to me. I also hear all of Franklin County's cases involving environmental crimes. So whether it's illegal dumping or littering or the transportation of hazardous material, I would hear all those cases as well. Finally, I have the distinct honor of hearing all of Franklin County's animal abuse and neglect cases. So a very busy courtroom, a very unique courtroom. Some folks do see it as more or less as a specialized docket. That courtroom, that division rather, was created by the Ohio General Assembly in 1991. So it's a rather new division, relatively new, I should say. But it is somewhat specialized. As I said, it's the only courtroom within Franklin County that hears cases involving public nuisance properties. I think specialized dockets are wonderful. In the municipal court here in Franklin County, we have numerous specialized dockets. We have a drug court, we have a veterans court, we have a mental health court. very soon we should have a court, a specialized docket for young adults who come through the municipal court. So specialized dockets are a relatively new creation for courts, but I think it's wonderful. I think it gives us sort of a more focused look at some unique cases that courts and judges come across. And it's sort of my distinct honor to hear those special cases involving properties that are not in compliance and that are a hazard and a problem for our communities. So very honored to sit on that bench.
So with that, one of the things that I know about the specialty dockets is they have kind of an underlying mission of helping people to reenter society or to cure situations, opposed to having the initial mission of being punitive.
Yeah.
Talk about what your court does to help people, help the citizens through the challenges of their lives.
Yeah, thank you for asking about that. So, within the Environmental Division, we have started a new docket. It is the Owner Occupied Initiative. And that docket is particularly for homeowners who are in environmental court because their properties are not in compliance with code. For those individuals, we ensure that there are resources within the courtroom. So whether you need a new roof or perhaps the issue is you need a new coat of paint, if there are resources within Franklin County that you qualify for, we try to do all that we can to ensure that those resources are right there in the courtroom and are able to be leveraged for those defendants who are in need. We do all that we can to sort of leverage the resources that are available throughout Franklin County. So sometimes that involves perhaps setting a case at a particular time so that those resources can be available. Sometimes it involves perhaps giving that defendant extra time needed to reach out to the folks that would be able to assist them with getting that property in compliance. There's never enough, Shawn. There's always a shortage of resources, and the pandemic certainly didn't do much to help us with that. And so it's always difficult to get access and to get those resources that are needed for defendants. But we do all that we can, and I am always working throughout Franklin County to learn about new resources so that we can make those available to the defendants that need it most.
Great. Yeah, that was actually one of my questions. Do we have enough resources? Are we headed in the right direction as the court evolves and figures out how we can help people through that, or are we kind of at an impasse or a stopgap? And what tools do you have? All the tools you need in terms of from the legislature and the way that the laws are written. How do you see the evolution of the future with that?
As a judge, I am in a unique position because while I see the need, ethics prohibit me from actually going out and requesting those resources on behalf of defendants. So it's sort of a battle for me because while I feel it is my job as the judge in environmental to educate the Franklin County citizens about the needs that I see on a daily basis in environmental court, my hands are somewhat tied from asking for those resources. So it's a delicate balance. It really is the responsibility of your legislators, your city council, and your mayor to ensure that those resources are available and out there for defendants in need. But certainly, I like to do all that I can to educate about the gaps. And what I see, Shawn, as a glaring gap for us is those folks who sort of fall in the what I call the gray gap, where they aren't what folks perhaps would consider poor enough to qualify for some of the resources offered by the city of Columbus. I'll take, for instance, the roof grant. You have to qualify be below, I believe it's below the poverty line in order to qualify for that roof grant. And I could be misstating the qualification of it, but the point is many of our defendants who are in need don't necessarily meet that qualification in terms of income. They're just above it, but yet not able to make ends meet. And so it's always that those folks in that gray area that sort of get left behind and the resources are not available. Those are the folks that I am particularly concerned about. When you're not poor enough to qualify for the resource, but you don't exactly have the resources to get that property in compliance, that's where I see the gray area and the most need to be.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. It's always you always see those situations, and I always think of someone's grandmother that's sitting out there and doesn't know what to do, and many times maybe there's enough financial resources, but they just don't know what to do. So.
Yeah.
It's
true.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Moving on, and just to mention, folks coming on, Judge Stephanie Mingo of the Franklin County Environmental Court is our guest, and telling us about what the court does, and also talking about how they help and they are part of the positive solution to situations in Franklin County. With that, you in your campaign for re-election did something that's very, very unique. You went out to virtually every neighborhood, every group, and spoke with people and talked about the court and what the court does and what you do as the leader of that court. And was that new to the community? Were people surprised to see a judge coming out and talking in that capacity? Tell us kind of the overview of how that came about and what it was about.
Yeah, thank you for asking, Shawn. So in 2019, when I ran to sort of retain my seat, I made a decision that going forward, I wanted to be a judge that engaged community, not just around election time, but I wanted to find a vehicle to engage with it being about nothing more than wanting to be a part of the community, wanting to know about the community that I served, and wanting to carry the burdens that the folks that I serve carry. And so in 2021, I made the decision to launch an initiative called Beyond the Bench. And I believe it was March of 2021, Judge Gina Russo was appointed to the bench, and I called her either the day before or the day of her appointment, and I said, I've got this idea for an initiative. I know you have a heart for community and a love for service, just as I do. And would you be willing to be a part of this? This initiative is focused on community engagement through active listening. And Shawn, what I had learned through serving on the environmental court is that many of the concerns of the folks that I see on a daily basis extend beyond the courtroom. So I didn't want to just know about the issues that impact them from a legal side. I wanted to know about those issues that impact them most, whether it's, concern about cancer, whether it's concern about, food shortage, whether it's concern about childcare, whether it's concern about infant and maternal fatality rate in the African American community, whether it's concern about litter and trash and dumping on our west side. I want it to be involved and engaged and understand the folks that we serve. It's so important to me, and I know that Judge Russo shares the same view. It's so important to me that we be judges that not only listen, but actively listen, really listen to understand the folks that we serve. From the bench, I have sort of a snapshot view of what is going on in a particular defendant's life. But most of the folks in Franklin County, I will never encounter. They will never come before me in environmental court, but they are still individuals that I serve. I am elected to serve all of Franklin County, and so it's so important for me to understand what goes on in their daily lives. And as one of their public officials, it's important for me to come alongside them and carry those burdens. I want them to know that I care about their community, that I love Franklin County, and that I have a concern and a compassion for the things that impact them most. So we launched Beyond the Bench so that we could be the most informed and actively involved and engaged judges that we could possibly be. And I'm so proud of that initiative.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, what you two have started, because I hope this doesn't end, is the relationship with the people.
Yes, so important to build those relationships. I can't tell you the impact it had on us when we returned to the bench. We would go out and we would engage with community, whether it was one-on-one or at an event or perhaps at a nonprofit, and just really learn and study what it is they do, what it is that they're concerned about, and how we can be a part of that. By doing that, it really changed our view from the bench.
Really?
It really changed our outlook.
What did you see that surprised you that maybe you weren't as aware about?
Yeah, what surprised me most is that people, their reaction to judges actually being human and, being touchable and being accessible.
Courtrooms are intimidating places. The judge sits up high. You wear
And
a
that's
black
right.
robe.
That's right. But it was so good for them to see us and to get to know us and to know, we're daughters, we're mothers, we're wives, we're a part of your community. And what hurts you hurts us. What impacts you impacts us. What concerns you concerns us. What makes you smile makes us smile. We wanted them to know that we care and that we wanted to be a part of them. We wanted to come right alongside them and be a part of their community. And so there's no substitute for the relationships that we built. There's no substitute for that human one-on-one connection.
Yeah.
And it was so valuable, I believe, to them, but it was also valuable to us as judges just to be informed and to know. It gave us, I think, a sharper eye. It gave us a softer heart. It gave us, I guess, that compassion that I think that you need every day on the bench. Sometimes day in, day out, you hear the same cases, and whether you realize it or not, you sort of develop a gruffness, or rather a desensitization, I think, to certain problems and certain issues. But by being actively involved and engaged with community on a daily and weekly basis, it changed us. It really did. And it certainly changed us for the better. And absolutely, Beyond the Bench will, as long as Judge Russo and I are on the bench, we will continue going beyond the bench daily to ensure that we stay actively involved and engaged with our community.
Well, you're here today, and I mean, that's evidence that you found something that needs to be built and said, and that you're willing to continue carrying this forward.
Absolutely.
And the other thing that's interesting that I hear in the theme of this is that you recognize that you're in the people business.
That's right.
And that it's about human beings, which is amazing.
It really is. All that we do. Honestly, Shawn, that's what we all should believe, right? As public and elected officials, we should all be in the people business. Sometimes you get caught up and mired in the politics of it all. But really, it's about the people. It's about the people we serve. Again, and not just around election time, but every day. It's about the people that we serve and honoring them.
Is there every day when you get up, is there something that you say to yourself or that you do that prepares you to take on that day?
Yeah. So, Shawn, thank you for asking. I am an elected official. I wear my faith on my sleeve. So I am a born-again Christian, and I believe that when I wake up in the morning, I do all for the glory of Christ. And so that is sort of my gut check in the morning. Lord, what is it that you want me to do in your name to honor you? I know that I believe in my religion, we are the hands and feet of Christ. And so I want to do all that I can to serve and to engage the most vulnerable among us. Whatever I can do to assist and help the least among us, the most vulnerable among us, I want to make sure that I do. So that's the attitude really that I carry to the bench every day. What can I do? What can I do to serve, to make someone's life better, to engage with someone? Whatever I can do to improve the lives of those that I serve, I want to do it. So that's really my gut check before I take the bench.
That's a beautiful thought every day.
Thank
And
you.
I think if everyone starts their day on that premise,
Yeah.
what a great world we would have, right?
Absolutely.
It would take care of a
Absolutely.
lot. It would take care of a lot for sure. The in terms of the future directions, what would be the three things you would like to see the court system or your court? I mean, it's an open-ended question. This is for you to tell us. What would be three initiatives or three goals you would like to have during this next term in office that you would like to, put in motion?
Yeah, well, certainly one, my priority one for me is to continue with Beyond the Bench and really to ensure that I stay actively engaged and actively listening to my community. That's always going to be priority one. Priority number two for me is to really fight this pull that we are seeing within our judicial system more and more towards partisanship. I want to do all that I can to stay away from that and to really be an example among my colleagues and among my peers. That this is really about the business of the people. This isn't about Republican or Democrat. It's really about the citizens of Franklin County. I am sad to see how, and disappointed, Shawn, to see how partisan the bench has become. It's not healthy. It's not healthy for the court, and it is not healthy for the public that we serve. So I will do all that I can to steer my courtroom and my public service away from that partisanship and to really be about the business of the folks of Franklin County.
Good.
And priority number 3, Shawn, is to do more work in that area that we talked about previously, the area of resources. As I mentioned before, judges are prohibited from sort of going around and asking, making that ask on behalf of the court. In other words, making the ask for resources, whether it be funding, whether it be services. As a judge, I am unable to ask for those things. But what I am committed to doing is educating Franklin County about the work of the court and about the needs that I see on a daily basis. And hopefully, Shawn, that will prompt corporate Franklin County, nonprofit Franklin County to get involved, to see the need and get involved and to pour into these defendants who need it most.
Nice. Yeah, we all win together and we all lose together. So,
That's right.
And I love the way that you put in both corporate and nonprofit so
Yes.
that we recognize that we have a dichotomy in some respects, but we're all in the same boat moving forward, and we choose the direction that goes.
That's right.
And without a doubt. So,
Yeah.
well, super. Well, that actually brings us right up on our time mark. So
Wonderful. Thank you for having me on.
it was our pleasure. In terms of the environmental court, do you have a website or anything if people need resources that they could seek out anything on Judge Mingo or the environmental court?
Yes, I do. And Shawn, we just recently changed our website. If you just Google Franklin County Environmental Court or Judge Stephanie Mingo, it will take you right to my website. There are resources and information about that court that you can find there. And I always welcome folks to sit in that courtroom anytime you have a chance. It's a very interesting courtroom. I know you'll enjoy the unique experience.
Okay, great. It's a spectator sport too, I guess, then,
It
right?
sure is.
But it's how we learn and we get to participate
That's right.
and be a part of it.
Yes.
So, great.
Wonderful.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for giving us your time to listen. You've been listening to Fill in the Blank with Shawn Parker, where we talk about the issues of politics and the geopolitical marketplace as well as economics. If you like our channel, please subscribe to us at Fill in the Blank on YouTube, and be sure to listen every week as we come back to you with some of the most thought-provoking people of the day. And learning is always the key to what we're trying to do.